Shorebirds. They're not easy, but they don't have to be hard. Let's figure this out. Again, it's the little ones that cause all the trouble, no matter where you are. In Downeast, Maine, up here on the Canadian border, on the shores of Lubec, it's least sandpiper, semipalmated sandpiper, with a smattering of western sandpiper, Baird sandpiper, and white-rumped sandpiper. We'll get to the bigger shorebirds in a minute. And if you don't need help with shorebirds, just skip to the end where I ask you to like this so more people will see it, and subscribe to make YouTube think you care. Here in the Lubec mudflats, it's best to be at the end of the spit, 2 hours after high tide. Let's walk there and see what we find along the way. I got 3 species of gull. What'd you get? Herring, great black-backed, and ring-billed. Seriously? A razorbill on the beach? Little known fact, when the razorbills leave their nesting islands, often they'll bring their young very close to shore, all along the rocks of Downeast coast, Maine, and in this case along the beach, which is kind of unusual. And it's the father that brings the chick to sea. All right, back to the shorebirds. So this is the way it works. On this beach, 99% of the sandpipers are just 2 species, least and semipalmated. If you're in Florida, they're mostly western. If you were in Nome, Alaska, you'd have to deal with all 3. Of course, if you're in Nome, Alaska, you have to worry about what's coming across from Asia. Point is, it doesn't matter. For most of these birds, they're all the same bird. Same thing with plovers. On this beach, they're all semipalmated plovers, except for those that aren't. I've seen 1 piping plover on this beach in the last 30 years. Now, if you're in Texas, you'd have to figure it out between snowy and piping plover. If you were in Florida, same deal. But here, right here, all the little ones are semipalmated plovers. Almost no exceptions. So between those 3, you now know just about everything you're seeing out here. Let's get to those you might not. I mean, sure, they're tough. I spent 3 minutes looking at this least sandpiper until I realized it's got dark legs and little red shoulders. It's a western sandpiper. Oops. So real quick, let's go over this again. Least sandpiper has yellowish legs, unless they're muddy or silhouetted, and they're a much darker brown. The semipalmated sandpipers are a grayish brown and they have dark legs, and they're just a touch bigger. Westerns, also just a little bit bigger than the semipalmated sandpipers. You might not even notice. On this beach, the fun is finding white-rumped sandpipers, because there are just a few of them, but they're almost always here. So they're just a little bit bigger. Look for the fat ones. Four key things that help. Number 1, they're longer legs, so they're often deeper in the water. Number 2, they're longer wings, so they walk a little funny. The wing sticks out past the tail, and they sort of wobble. Number 3, they've got these little chevrons under the wings, these little black dots. That's pretty distinctive if you get a good look. And of course, they're just a little bit bigger, so look for the plump ones among all the little ones. No Baird sandpiper on the beach this morning, but as you can see from the one I took last year at this very same spot, Bairds are about the same size as white-rumped, but they're generally browner and more scaly. They have a flatter back, straighter bill, and of course they don't have the chevrons or white rumps. So, comparison, white-rumped, Bairds. After this, all the shorebirds get easier because they get bigger. Sanderlings are exceptionally pale. Ruddy turnstones are ruddy, except for today's example. That one is weird. At least I think it's a turnstone. If you have a better idea, put it in the comments. That is an extreme example. Dowitchers are trouble, except that in Maine, they're almost all short-billed dowitchers. I've seen a long-billed dowitcher on this beach once, and that was a decade ago. Black-bellied plovers. There's about 50 of them out here today, and they illustrate a point. There's a lot of color variation in black-bellied plovers, so don't get hung up on color. What you'd like to do is pull an American golden plover out of this bunch. American golden plovers are a little smaller. They have shorter bills, don't have the black wing pits when seen flying, they don't have the white wing stripe of a flying black-belly, and maybe most important, black-bellied plovers have a white rump. Golden stay golden from the top of the head to the tip of the tail. Red knots are out here sometimes, much sleeker and smoothly gray in autumn as opposed to their red summer breeding plumage. 2 whimbrels are out here today. With a big down-curved bill, it's the only curlew likely to be seen in Maine, so you can't possibly misidentify this one. Hudsonian godwits and these marble godwits pass through in Maine in pretty small numbers. The up-pointed bill really helps, and it's long. But now we're really talking about bigger birds, so rather than get into willets and avocets, let's just stop it right there to avoid information overload. If this little Jeepers, Peepers, Creepers thing gets enough likes and subscribes, there are more tips and tricks I can pass along. As far as sandpipers go, that's the least sandpiper I can do.